Fire, one of humanity's earliest discoveries, sparked the creation of numerous tools designed to harness and control it. The evolution of fire-starting devices is a fascinating story, with two key inventions, the lighter and the match, shaping the way humans interact with fire today. What is especially intriguing about this history is that the match, an object that seems so closely related to the lighter, was actually invented after the lighter. While this might seem counterintuitive given their similar purpose, it highlights the complex and often surprising journey of technological advancements. The invention of the lighter can be traced back to the early 19th century, specifically to the creation of devices such as the friction match. These early versions were often bulky and not particularly reliable. However, they laid the groundwork for more advanced fire-starting tools. The first lighters, which used a combination of chemicals to create a spark, were essential for triggering a flame, offering convenience and portability that previous fire-starting methods like flint and steel lacked. The first truly practical lighter design emerged from the work of chemists, who understood the chemistry of combustion and how to manipulate it to create a reliable flame. Despite their early shortcomings, these lighters represented a revolutionary shift in the way fire could be produced. Interestingly, it was the invention of the lighter that spurred the need for further innovation in fire-starting tools. Early lighters were often quite cumbersome, requiring multiple steps to ignite and frequently breaking down due to the fragility of their components. Over time, these difficulties motivated inventors to find ways to simplify and enhance the process of fire creation. This led to the invention of the match, which, in its most basic form, was a much smaller, more portable solution for creating a fire with minimal effort. The first modern matches as we know them today were invented in the early 19th century, following the creation of the first lighters. Initially, matches were a far cry from the convenient tools we use today. They were typically made by dipping the tips of sticks or twigs in chemicals that could ignite when struck. The early matches were relatively dangerous to use due to the volatile nature of the chemicals involved, and their effectiveness varied greatly depending on environmental conditions. However, as the need for a safer, more reliable fire-starting tool grew, refinements were made, leading to the creation of the safety match in the mid-1800s. This version, developed by Swedish chemist Gustav Erik Pask, used a less volatile mixture of chemicals, making the matches much safer to strike and use. In essence, the match was invented as a response to the early, imperfect designs of the lighter, evolving into a simpler and more practical solution. The development of safety matches marked a turning point in fire-starting technology, providing a much-needed tool that was both effective and easy to carry around. Whereas lighters were often bulky, requiring constant refueling or chemical replenishment, matches offered a disposable, one-time use that was both economical and efficient. This development reflected a larger trend in technological evolution, the pursuit of simplicity, safety, and convenience. Though the match was invented after the lighter, it did not make the lighter obsolete. In fact, both tools evolved alongside one another, each fulfilling different needs and demands. Lighters, due to their durability and reusability, remain the preferred option for certain contexts, particularly for lighting cigarettes or larger fires where a steady flame was needed. Matches, on the other hand, were ideal for everyday use, offering a quick and easily portable solution for igniting small fires in homes, campgrounds, and during outdoor activities. This division in their uses speaks to a broader trend in technological innovation, where multiple solutions to a common problem emerge over time, often catering to different aspects of the same need. The relationship between the lighter and the match also speaks to the influence of cultural and industrial factors on technological innovation. Early on, lighters were mainly used by the upper class due to their higher cost and complexity, while matches, being more affordable and easier to use, were widely adopted by the general population. Over time, both tools became more accessible, but the match, with its convenience and low cost, maintained a significant presence in daily life. This shift in accessibility also highlights how the evolution of technology is often driven by consumer demand, rather than a single eureka moment. The innovations made in the design of both matches and lighters were responses to practical needs and, over time, helped democratize fire-starting tools, making them available to virtually every person on the planet. Furthermore, the development of these two tools is deeply intertwined with industrialization. The mass production of matches and lighters became a major industry in the 19th and 20th centuries, with companies emerging to meet the growing demand for these essential fire-starting devices. In fact, the widespread use of matches and lighters during the 20th century played a role in the rapid urbanization of many parts of the world, as people moved away from traditional fire-starting methods like wood and flint, which were more cumbersome and required greater skill. With the rise of disposable products and consumer goods, the match became ubiquitous. It was packaged in boxes, produced in large quantities, and became a standard item in households, restaurants, and workplaces. At the same time, lighters evolved to become more efficient and user-friendly. From the early friction lighters that relied on complex chemical reactions to the more familiar Zippo lighters and modern butane lighters, technology in this field continued to improve and cater to different types of users. Despite the match's earlier role as a simpler and more widely accessible tool, lighters now dominate certain markets, particularly in the context of portable and reusable fire-starting solutions. However, as we move into the digital age, both matches and lighters are now encountering competition from new fire-starting technologies, such as electric arc lighters and even plasma lighters, which use high-temperature electrical arcs to ignite materials. This shift shows how innovation, even in something as seemingly basic as a tool for creating fire, continues to adapt and evolve in response to new materials, user preferences, and the demands of a modern world. In the end, the curious fact that the match came after the lighter reveals a broader truth about human invention: progress is rarely linear. The need to harness fire, a discovery that dates back to the earliest days of humanity, has spurred countless innovations over the centuries, and even the simplest tools we take for granted today have complex and unexpected histories. Both the lighter and the match, though seemingly similar in purpose, serve as examples of how technology evolves through experimentation, refinement, and the interplay between necessity and invention. The fact that the match came after the lighter is just one of many surprising twists in the story of humanity's long relationship with fire. The evolution of fire-starting devices did not stop with the match and lighter. In fact, as new technologies emerged, both tools continued to influence and shape one another, while also adapting to changes in society and industry. The advent of mass production during the Industrial Revolution played a pivotal role in transforming both matches and lighters from niche, artisanal products into standardized, ubiquitous items. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the sheer volume of matches and lighters produced annually made them among the most common everyday items. Their availability marked a societal shift where convenience and portability became primary drivers of innovation. The design of these fire-starting tools, however, continued to be influenced by the broader context of technological progress and changing consumer demands. One of the significant developments that impacted the match industry was the advent of safety matches in the mid-1800s. Before this innovation, matches were often hazardous to use. Early matches, while effective, were prone to spontaneous ignition due to their highly volatile chemical compositions. These were known as strike-anywhere matches, capable of igniting on any surface, but they posed serious risks, as they could combust accidentally if improperly handled. The invention of safety matches, which required a specific surface to ignite, revolutionized the match industry. They were safer, easier to use, and much more reliable, making them the standard in homes and businesses across the world. This technological breakthrough reflected a larger trend in product design, a focus on consumer safety and ease of use, a shift that extended across industries as consumer goods became more accessible to the general public. In parallel, the evolution of lighters also saw significant advancements. Although lighters had been around since the early 19th century, they were initially expensive, intricate, and often unreliable. The invention of the Zippo lighter in 1932 marked a turning point. The Zippo's durable metal casing, windproof design, and refillable fluid mechanism made it a game-changer. Unlike disposable lighters that were limited by their fuel capacity and frailty, Zippos and similar designs offered a long-lasting and reliable solution for igniting fire. This made them not only popular among smokers, but also a symbol of ruggedness, as they became a must-have tool for adventurers, soldiers, and outdoors enthusiasts. The refinement of the lighter, much like the match, reflected broader changes in society, where portability, reliability, and durability became highly valued in consumer products. As both matches and lighters became more commonplace, their designs and functions continued to evolve with changing cultural and technological trends. The influence of both items expanded beyond just providing fire, into other aspects of daily life. In the case of the match, its application spread across a variety of industries, from cooking to lighting candles, while lighters became associated with rituals and social activities. In certain circles, the act of lighting a cigarette with a fancy lighter became a cultural gesture. One that conveyed a sense of style, sophistication, or rebellion. In other words, fire-starting devices had morphed into symbols, with lighters, in particular, being laden with personal and societal significance. In contrast, as disposable lighters became more widely available and affordable in the mid-20th century, their widespread use began to overshadow traditional matches in certain contexts. A disposable lighter could be used countless times, was easy to carry, and was a cost-effective solution. This new iteration of the lighter, often made from plastic and lighter materials, began to replace matches in many areas, especially in casual settings such as cafes and bars, where a single-use match might be less desirable. Despite this, matches maintained a significant presence in households and emergency kits, primarily due to their simplicity and convenience. While disposable lighters dominated the cigarette industry and gained favor for their practicality, matches remained an essential backup for lighting candles, stoves, and fireplaces. This competition between disposable lighters and matches highlights a fundamental principle in technological innovation: the differentiation of purpose. While both tools share a common function, their distinct advantages and contexts of use have allowed them to coexist, with each filling a specific niche in human life. The contrast between these two inventions, one highly durable and reusable, the other designed for single-use convenience, illustrates how consumer preferences and societal needs influence the development of products over time. As disposable products gained traction, the ongoing evolution of both matches and lighters was inextricably linked to the changing nature of consumer culture, where convenience, portability, and efficiency became the key drivers of innovation. Another fascinating aspect of the match and lighter dynamic is the way these items reflect broader environmental and sustainability concerns. While disposable lighters offered convenience and ease of use, they also became a symbol of wastefulness. By the late 20th and early 21st centuries, concerns about plastic pollution and environmental damage associated with disposable items began to affect consumer habits. In response, the market saw a resurgence in interest for more sustainable alternatives, such as refillable lighters and matches made from eco-friendly materials. Lighter manufacturers introduced models with refillable butane tanks, reducing waste and the reliance on single-use products. Similarly, matchboxes began to be produced from recycled cardboard or sustainable wood sources, aiming to reduce their ecological footprint. The shift toward environmental consciousness in the latter half of the 20th century reflects a larger trend in consumer behavior, where people increasingly sought products that aligned with sustainability principles. This growing awareness and preference for eco-conscious products influenced the way fire-starting tools were designed, packaged, and marketed. Companies that produced lighters and matches had to adjust their strategies, embracing new materials and production methods to meet the demands of an environmentally aware consumer base. As a result, both lighters and matches underwent a period of reinvention, incorporating modern technologies and sustainable practices to ensure that these everyday tools continued to meet the needs of a more eco-conscious world. Moreover, the modern design of both lighters and matches has been significantly influenced by aesthetic considerations. Both products, while utilitarian in nature, have undergone numerous design changes, with many manufacturers recognizing the growing market for decorative and collectible items. Lighters, for example, became increasingly customizable, with some models being adorned with intricate designs, logos, and even precious metals, turning them into status symbols or personal expressions. Matches, though simpler in design, also evolved in terms of packaging and branding, with matchboxes often featuring elaborate artwork or even being marketed as luxury items for specific niches. This emphasis on design highlights how the function of a product can evolve to cater to not just utility, but also the personal identity and aesthetic preferences of its users. The rise of the disposable lighter industry also brought with it the challenge of mass production and globalization. Lighter companies faced the complexities of sourcing materials, manufacturing on a large scale, and managing supply chains across borders. The global demand for lighters and matches became an international industry, with manufacturing hubs in countries like China and India producing billions of units annually. This globalized production also mirrored broader economic trends, including the rise of mass consumerism and the development of international trade networks. The widespread availability of matches and lighters, thanks to their affordability and mass production, demonstrates the far-reaching effects of industrialization and globalization, which have reshaped not only the products we use but the way in which they are distributed and consumed around the world. In conclusion, the parallel development of matches and lighters serves as a reflection of the larger shifts in technology, society, and culture. While the match came after the lighter, both inventions evolved in response to the needs and preferences of their time. The industrialization of both tools, coupled with the demands for convenience, safety, and efficiency, allowed these simple devices to thrive and adapt. As new challenges such as environmental concerns and changing consumer behaviors arose, both matches and lighters continued to evolve, becoming products not only of utility but also of cultural and social significance. The evolution of these fire-starting devices illustrates how innovation often responds to both necessity and desire. Constantly adjusting to meet the needs of an ever-changing world, the continuing evolution of fire-starting tools, particularly matches and lighters, also intertwines with the increasing role of technology in our daily lives. As society progressed, the simple act of lighting a fire became less about survival and more about convenience, culture, and even identity. The necessity of producing fire in emergency situations or for practical purposes gave way to a more sophisticated set of expectations. People no longer simply needed fire, they sought fire as a means of expression, recreation, and connection. This shift is evident in the design changes that both matches and lighters underwent over time. As their primary function evolved into a symbol of personal choice, lifestyle, and even status, one of the most remarkable transformations in the evolution of these tools occurred in the context of consumer branding and advertising. As disposable lighters became mainstream in the mid-20th century, companies quickly realized that they could do more than just sell a product, they could sell an experience, a lifestyle, and a narrative. This was particularly evident with brands like Zippo, which became synonymous with rugged individualism, and Bic, which capitalized on convenience and affordability. These companies recognized that fire-starting tools, especially lighters, were not just practical items but cultural artifacts. Imbued with meaning beyond their initial use, the market for branded lighters grew rapidly, as manufacturers began to understand the power of personalization and aesthetic appeal. In the case of Zippo, lighters were not just functional, they became miniature canvases for artistic expression. Custom engraving, logos, and decorative designs turned the lighter into a collectible, making it an item that represented personal style or a statement of individuality. Over the decades, lighter design became a way to reflect societal trends and movements, from the rebellious spirit of the 1960s counterculture to the polished, minimalist designs of the 21st century. Some limited edition Zippos were even crafted in collaboration with famous brands. Artists and musicians, blurring the line between functional tools and high-end luxury items, matches, too, found their way into the world of branding. While the match may seem like a simpler object compared to the intricate designs of lighters, it still became a canvas for artistic expression, particularly through its packaging. The classic matchbox, with its bright colors, unique fonts, and iconic logos, was often used as an advertisement for businesses, from cafes and bars to tobacco companies. Over time, even matchbooks, once commonly handed out as promotional items, became collectible. The historical matchbook, emblazoned with logos from hotels, restaurants, and even airlines, became a nostalgic symbol of an era when such items were commonplace and connected to a specific cultural moment. However, the cultural significance of matches and lighters extends beyond branding and aesthetics. Both products, particularly lighters, were deeply tied to rituals and social interactions. The act of lighting a cigarette with a beautifully crafted lighter became a performance in itself. This is especially apparent in the context of smoking culture, where a specific type of lighter could define an individual's relationship with smoking. For example, the metal Zippo lighter became closely associated with cigarette smoking in the military, where soldiers used them not only for their function but as a reminder of home, with lighters often engraved with personal messages or symbols. For some, a lighter wasn't just a tool, it was a statement of resilience, camaraderie, or even defiance. Smoking, particularly in the mid-20th century, was as much about social identity as it was about the act of smoking itself, and the lighter played a central role in this cultural phenomenon. In contrast, the match, though less commonly linked to smoking rituals, retained its importance in other cultural contexts. The act of lighting a match to start a fire for warmth, cooking, or lighting a candle has persisted as a traditional practice, invoking a sense of nostalgia for simpler times. In some societies, the match still carries a sense of reverence, associated with the lighting of ceremonial fires or the preparation of food. While it may not have the same cultural cachet as the lighter in modern times, the match remains rooted in history, often linked to personal moments of intimacy or connection, such as lighting candles for a romantic dinner or starting a fire in a cabin during winter. Both the match and the lighter also developed a special place in the advertising industry. In the early 20th century, cigarette manufacturers frequently used branded matches to promote their products. Matchboxes became miniature billboards, often featuring vibrant advertisements that showcased not only the cigarette brand but the lifestyle associated with it. The match became an essential promotional tool, often given away for free as part of marketing strategies aimed at familiarizing the public with new cigarette brands. This promotional practice continued for decades, with matchbooks adorned with logos for not just tobacco products, but for anything from luxury hotels to bars and nightclubs. Creating a visual connection between fire and the world of consumption and leisure. Interestingly, the duality of purpose in these fire-starting tools, both practical and symbolic, also paralleled broader societal shifts. As the 20th century progressed, particularly in the post-World War II era, both matches and lighters became commodified in new ways. Advances in mass production and the availability of cheap materials made both tools widely accessible. This accessibility transformed them from exclusive, high-cost items into affordable everyday tools. Matches, in particular, became a disposable commodity in the modern world, often seen as a cheap and temporary solution for lighting small fires. Lighters, however, continued to carry a dual identity, a disposable convenience item on one hand and, for some, a treasured collectible on the other. With the rise of the disposable lighter in the 1970s, the match began to fade from the public eye, at least in Western consumer culture. Lighters offered greater convenience and durability, and they were advertised in a way that emphasized their reliability. The decline of the match in Western markets was also tied to the diminishing popularity of smoking, particularly as public health campaigns made smoking less fashionable and more heavily regulated. With the ban on smoking in public places and the widespread recognition of the health risks associated with smoking, the match lost some of its symbolic weight. In contrast, disposable lighters, due to their versatility and reuse, gained ground as the primary tool for igniting fire, yet, as with many inventions, the match never completely disappeared. The cultural significance of the match, particularly in its historical form, has continued to hold a place in niche markets and in the memories of those who grew up with it. While the match is now less commonly used in everyday life, it still retains its place in certain areas, particularly in survival and outdoor recreation. In fact, one of the growing markets for matches today is in camping and hiking, where the match continues to be seen as a reliable and necessary tool for starting fires in the wild. In conclusion, the evolution of the match and lighter represents more than just technological progress, it is a reflection of the cultural, societal, and economic forces at play over time. From their origins as practical tools for survival to their roles as symbols of style, rebellion, and ritual, both matches and lighters have undergone transformations that speak to the changing nature of human civilization. The ongoing evolution of these tools underscores the interplay between utility, symbolism, and technological innovation, showing that even the simplest items in our lives have deep, far-reaching histories shaped by countless factors beyond their original purpose. The continuing evolution of matches and lighters is inextricably linked to broader changes in technology, economics, and society. As we move into the 21st century, new challenges and opportunities have reshaped the role these fire-starting tools play in our everyday lives. In a world increasingly dominated by digital technology and environmental concerns, both matches and lighters are undergoing transformations that reflect the ongoing tension between tradition and modernity, sustainability, and convenience. This phase in their development marks a new chapter in their long history, where innovation in design, materials, and usage continues to redefine their place in society. One of the most significant developments in the 21st century has been the increased awareness of environmental sustainability. As disposable products have become ubiquitous, concerns about waste and pollution have intensified. Lighters, particularly the cheap plastic versions, have contributed to growing amounts of non-biodegradable waste, as they are often discarded after their fuel is depleted. While these lighters are functional and inexpensive, they have a profound environmental impact, especially considering their wide usage in single-use scenarios. This concern has spurred a rise in the market for eco-friendly lighters, reusable models that are more durable and made from sustainable materials, such as metal, wood, or even biodegradable plastics. Brands that once relied on disposable designs are shifting toward more sustainable practices, offering refillable lighters and creating designs that are built to last. In parallel, matches have also evolved in response to environmental concerns. While they are often viewed as disposable, modern matches are increasingly being produced with eco-friendly materials. Traditional wooden matches, for example, are now often made from sustainably sourced timber, and matchboxes are crafted from recycled paperboard. There has also been a push toward making matches with less toxic chemical treatments. The match industry is learning to balance its traditional production methods with modern sustainability trends, aiming to minimize its environmental footprint while maintaining the practicality and convenience that matches have always provided. This focus on sustainability reflects broader shifts in consumer behavior. As more individuals become aware of their ecological impact, there is an increased desire for products that align with ethical consumption. This has created a new niche market where consumers seek fire-starting tools that reflect their values, tools that are durable, refillable, and made from environmentally responsible materials. Lighters, for example, now feature eco-conscious refills and even the possibility of using alternative fuels like butane that have a lower environmental impact than conventional lighter fluid. This trend aligns with a more widespread interest in reducing consumption, fostering a new generation of consumers who view their everyday choices as part of a broader effort to protect the planet. Beyond environmental considerations, the evolving role of matches and lighters is also influenced by advancements in technology. With the rise of electronic devices and high-tech gadgets, the way people use fire-starting tools has shifted. One of the most interesting innovations in this area has been the introduction of electric lighters, which use an electric arc to create a flame, eliminating the need for fuel or flammable liquids. These lighters, often referred to as plasma lighters, rely on an entirely different mechanism to generate heat and spark a flame. Rather than using combustion, they use electrical energy to create a plasma arc, which can ignite a variety of materials without the mess or waste associated with traditional lighters. These lighters have gained popularity in recent years due to their sleek design, long-lasting charge, and environmentally friendly features, as they eliminate the need for disposable butane or other fuel sources. The rise of electric lighters highlights how the fundamental function of starting a fire has not changed, but the methods and materials have evolved dramatically in response to new technological possibilities. At the same time, these innovations bring with them questions about accessibility and practicality. While electric lighters are highly effective and environmentally friendly, they require charging and may not be as accessible or reliable in emergency situations as their traditional counterparts. As a result, the market is seeing an interesting division. Consumers can now choose between the low-tech simplicity of a match or a disposable lighter and the high-tech, environmentally conscious options like the electric lighter or a refillable Zippo. Each option has its advantages, but the choice ultimately depends on personal preference, convenience, and the context in which the tool is being used. The increasing prevalence of digital devices has also prompted the redesign of matchboxes and lighters, integrating them into larger systems of modern life. For example, some contemporary matchboxes now feature QR codes or even Bluetooth connectivity, allowing users to access information, track their usage, or interact with branded apps. While this may seem like a niche feature, it reflects a broader trend toward embedding everyday products into the digital ecosystem. This fusion of physical and digital products exemplifies how even the most traditional tools are adapting to a rapidly changing world. The ability to track product use, measure environmental impact, or customize designs via apps shows how the culture of consumerism is evolving alongside technological advances. In addition to these technological developments, societal shifts in attitudes toward fire safety have also played a role in the development of both lighters and matches. The growing concern for fire safety, especially in residential and commercial settings, has led to changes in the way these tools are marketed and regulated. Lighters are now often equipped with safety features, such as child-resistant mechanisms, to prevent accidental ignition. Similarly, matchbooks have been redesigned with safety features to prevent spontaneous combustion or accidental striking. These changes reflect a growing awareness of the need to protect both individuals and property from the dangers associated with fire. Especially in a world where the tools for creating flames are so widely accessible, on a broader scale, fire-starting tools have also been redefined through the lens of culture and nostalgia. For many, the match and lighter are more than just tools, they are symbolic of certain moments or rituals. The iconic image of lighting a cigarette with a Zippo, the act of striking a match to light a candle for a romantic dinner, or the use of a lighter to ignite a campfire are all culturally loaded acts that carry emotional and social significance. As these tools have become integrated into popular culture, they have taken on meanings that go beyond their practical uses. Matches and lighters have become part of human expression, contributing to social rituals and even serving as metaphors in literature, film, and art. The match, with its frail stick and tiny flame, symbolizes fragility, impermanence, and the transient nature of life itself. The lighter, in its sleek, reusable design, represents durability, power, and convenience. Both tools, in their own ways, reflect the human desire to control and harness the primal force of fire. As we move forward into the future, the continued development of fire-starting technology will likely be shaped by the ongoing tension between tradition and innovation, sustainability and convenience. While the match and lighter may seem like simple, everyday objects, they embody a deeper narrative, one of human ingenuity, creativity, and the endless quest to control the elements. Whether through the reimagining of old technologies like the match or the embrace of new, cutting-edge tools like electric lighters, fire-starting devices will continue to evolve, providing a fascinating lens through which we can understand the relationship between humanity, technology, and the natural world. In summary, the evolution of matches and lighters is far more than a story of technological progress. It is a reflection of broader societal changes, environmental concerns, and cultural shifts. From their humble beginnings as simple fire-starting tools to their current status as symbols of convenience, style, and sustainability. Both products have adapted to meet the needs and desires of a constantly changing world. As new technologies and consumer demands continue to emerge, the future of fire-starting tools will undoubtedly be shaped by a combination of innovation, tradition, and environmental consciousness. The next chapter in their story has yet to be written, but it will no doubt be as dynamic and multifaceted as the history that has come before it.